are now listening to the Sportz Nut.
Yes, welcome to the Sportz Nuts. We hope you guys had a wonderful weekend. Gotta give a quick shout out to my daughter's softball team, the Lady Patriots. That's why I'm in the sunglasses and the tire. We are leaving the game as we speak. We did not win. Our season has unfortunately come to an end in dramatic fashion, but proud of the girls. We did lose 17-6, but proud of the girls that when we first started this journey 4 seasons ago, they were 0-10. They finished the regular season 6-4 this year. Moved to the second round of the playoffs. But really proud, and guys, I got to give a special, absolute shout out to my daughter, Addison. There are a lot of rarities in sports, some more rare than others. Well, also,
Oh, looks like we lost Brendan and Shane. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
All right.
you.
Yeah. It's all good. It's all
Yeah.
good. I'll let Brandon get it reworked out. We'll be okay.
Oh yeah.
To pick up where Brandon left off, his daughter, almost accomplished something today, which was kind of a rare feat. She almost had a triple play. Am I mistaken on that one, Shane?
No, yeah, unassisted at that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. We're go. Yeah, there you go. He'll come out and come back in. He'll come back in. Yeah, there we go.
Oh no, still the same thing.
Let me see if I can adjust something and get him up here. But
I think it might just be signal.
yeah, probably. There we go.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so to answer your question, is actually a unassisted triple play, a rarity in itself for all sports, but let alone an 8-under softball. So my daughter got a triple play. So please, everybody tip your cap, give a round of applause, everything you can to my daughter. Matt, how you doing, man?
Man, can't complain, man. Can't complain. Just happy to be back up and at it.
That's right, indeed. Shane, man, how you been?
Oh man, been doing good. Just watching this slugfest that they've got going on right now up there in Washington. A great interlude and a great guest tonight as well. So I'm ready.
Absolutely, guys. We have a really good guest. So he is involved with all of Washington sports, but he is not the actual voice. But hey, I'm so pleased to have him on. I cannot wait to talk. We are going to talk about some hockey. We are going to talk about some baseball. We are going to talk about we're going to talk about basketball and all those in between. So, guys, before we get our guest on real quick, what's been going on in the Matt Thomas household, sir?
Man, not too much, man. Just working and watching sports. So, man, just kind of keeping tabs up with the Braves. And also the early stages of the MLB season. Tail end of the NBA playoffs as we're now in the conference final stage. And also, paying attention to what's going on in the NFL. Your favorite, Shador Sanders just signed a 4-year, $4.6 million deal.
$4.6 million.
So, man, just keeping up with the times, seeing what's going on in the sports world.
Shane, what's been going on in the Shane household?
Oh man, nothing much really. Just kind of relaxing. Went to my cousin's daughter's softball game last night with my mom since she was in town. So man, got to go out, enjoyed the heat. Now gonna get some good thunderstorms coming in. A little bit of a cold snap. So I'm ready for that and ready to travel here on Friday.
Absolutely. It's so funny you said that yesterday. We started the playoffs and we were in balmy Williamston. South Carolina, and we had the dugout that had to absolutely face the sun. So yeah, we all got roasted and cooked and everything else in between. But hey, it was an immaculate season indeed. All right, guys, let's go ahead and bring our guest on. He is with WTOP up in Washington, Mr. Dave Preston. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, gentlemen. How's everybody doing tonight? As you can see, I was at Congressional Country Club doing interviews earlier today, and lo and behold, did not apply the necessary sunscreen. It's like, oh, you're only going to be out there for 5 minutes. When you wait to talk to these guys, 5 minutes becomes an hour. You get back, you're like, wow, I feel kind of tired. I wonder why. I might look a little flushed. It's going to be a nice base coat because I don't burn, I charge.
I completely understand. Are you a natural redhead by chance?
No, it's dark. It's in between light brown and dark blonde, somewhere in there.
My wife is
crayon that doesn't exist in the basic Crayola pack. You got to get like the 64 to get my hair color. With
my wife is a
sharpener,
natural
which I
redhead.
never got the one with the sharpener. You know, thing that was the holy grail. Crayons when you were kids.
Yes, that was the Crayola set. My wife is a natural redhead. She's actually strawberry blonde now, but yeah, she's right there with you. She doesn't tan. She cooks. She roasts.
Yeah. Oh,
she absolutely roast. So, but I'm right there with you. All right, so I want to get going on this with everything. We saw the unfortunate end to the Caps season. Obviously, it was a season to remember. Alex Ovechkin became the all-time goal scorer in NHL history, passing the great one. Now he is officially the great 8 of hockey. But, and then we got the news actually this week. Alex Ovechkin is returning for his 21st season, which is absolutely amazing. You don't hear that in any sport now, let alone hockey. But, we have the few rarities with like LeBron James and whatnot. But what is the vibe around town, Washington fan base, knowing Ovi's back and he could absolutely blow that record out the water?
Well, I think there are some sticklers who are actually saying that he's going for another record because Gordie Howe had 802 goals, I think, and then he was in the WHA with like a bunch of the Houston Aeros, the Hartford Whalers, New England Whalers, what have you. I think his total was like 975. So Ovi might stick around just to pack because Gretzky has 940 because he spent a season in the WHA with Indianapolis and I want to say Edmonton before they merged in. I wouldn't be surprised to see Ovi say, you know what, I'll just, get to 975 so I can be the undisputed all-time goal scorer. It's great that he's coming back. It's one of those things that guys don't play as well as he does at this age. I remember a few years ago, it was like, oh, he's, leading the league in goals. No one's done that since like Phil Esposito back in the 70s when you had 2-minute shifts. Guys would smoke lung darts in between periods. It was a completely different world. Goalies stood up and they didn't have nearly as much padding. I think it's great for the fan base to have Ovi back. I think it also gives the front office another year where they can reposition this roster for a post-Alex Ovechkin world, which you hate to say is going to happen sooner or later. And I think we've been very blessed with this sunset of his career. You look at guys, we were going to talk a little bit of everything, but the sunset of Steven Strasburg's career, we were robbed of that.
Yes.
And we did not get, a great finish for him. Even the last days of Ryan Zimmerman were not awesome. For Alex Ovechkin to be producing this well, this late into his career, after all of his achievements already, is pretty special for this fan base. And last year, they made a lot of great moves. I don't think they're going to make as many moves this year as far as plugging holes because they don't have as many. But they've got potentially they have a young nucleus that can take over when the Ovechkins, when the John Carlsons, he's 36, Tom Wilson's in his 30s. When those guys move on, it looks like they might have a crew that can at least contend and maybe win a couple of series when you get to April and May.
We saw that the curse is still intact this year. The curse being it's the cup curse. No team who has won the President's Cup has won the Stanley Cup, and it's come to fruition again. Winnipeg got knocked out of the playoff, the Stanley Cup playoffs, Game 7. What does that? What does it necessarily mean? I mean, obviously, Washington came absolutely very close to getting the President's Cup, but knowing that they didn't get it, was there maybe less pressure on the Capitals, or do you think there was just as much pressure to perform?
I think there's when you win your division, there's always pressure for you to live up to that, because we've seen it happen so many times where a fourth place team bounces a division winner. We've seen President's Trophy winning clubs lose in the first round, heaven forbid. I think was one year the LA Kings were an 8th seeded and wound up winning a Stanley Cup. So there's always a little bit of pressure in the back of the mind of the team that wins the division if they lose Game 1 or if they split at home. It's always lurking out there, and I think there is pressure on these clubs to perform very well for an 82 game stretch. Where say it's the same. It's still hockey, but different sort of nuances are needed. Whereas in the postseason, it's one-on-one. It's you against me, and if I'm the better team, if I've got the better system, if I'm playing better, like Carolina, I'm going to beat you 4 games out of 7. Now, during the regular season, I might catch you on the back end of a back-to-back. You might be playing 3 games over 4 nights, and I might have a 2-night rest, and I'm at home. So even though it's not to be discounted what a team can do over the course of a regular season, because 82 games is a gauntlet, and it's not like teams are taking nights off like they are in the NBA. It's tough to win hockey games, and it's tough to win 50 games in a regular season. The Caps were able to do so this year, and that should not be discounted. But it takes it's a minor nuance where it takes a special team to perform well in the regular season, win the division, win the conference, win the Prince of Wales. But it takes, win the President's Trophy. I'm going back to the old days with the Prince of Wales trophy. But it just as it takes a specialty, it takes something special to win in the regular season. It takes a little bit different kind of something special to win in the postseason. I think a little bit of puck luck. I also think a little bit of good luck as far as on the health front. Losing Martin Ferravari, for the playoffs really hurt this team in a way that you didn't realize. I think if they had a tougher opponent in the first round, not having Alexei Protas for most of that first round series against Montreal would have hurt them as well.
Absolutely. And you speak about Canada. Let's go look a little bit down the road from Montreal in Toronto. From what ESPN said, PK said it's been 12 years of constant letdowns of the Toronto Maple Leafs for their fan base. We saw it happen again this year. Absolutely, another letdown. Florida said, "Hold my beer. I'm going to absolutely mollywop you," and they won 6-1. Now. And here's a crazy stat for people who don't know this, and I don't know you know this, but since 2020, the state of Florida has been involved with either the Stanley Cup or the Stanley Cup Finals. What does that say? And then also Shane can tag on this too with Carolina. What does that say to you about hockey in the South versus hockey in the North? Do people in the North have to worry about the South, or is it becoming more like a mutual, hey, I'll shake hands, I'll be good if you scratch my back kind of thing?
Brandon, I think it's a case of good management, quality management. I mean, we talked 12 years for Toronto. I'm going to say, what is it, 50? It's been 58 years since they won the Stanley Cup. 1967, Sgt. Pepper hadn't even been released when the Beatles were still the Mop Tops when they last won the Stanley Cup. And I've looked at a lot of it. It's amazing how when the league expanded from 6 to 12 teams back in 1967, and you had some teams like the Canadiens went on a heater. They won, a bunch in the 70s. The Bruins won a pair of cups behind Bobby Orr, Phil Esposito. The Rangers competed at least. They didn't win a cup until 94. But then you had teams like Chicago, Toronto, and Chicago and Toronto and Detroit, who basically squandered whatever advantage they had as an original 6 club. Massively mismanaged for the next 15 to 20 years. Detroit didn't get good again until the 90s. They had their run. Rangers finally got good in the late 90s, won their cup. And then you have a team like Toronto that you're the largest city in Canada. Hockey is the sport of Canada, and you haven't won a cup in over 50 years. It would be akin to the New York Yankees not winning a World Series for 50 years. It would be akin to, well, it might happen, Dallas not winning a Super Bowl for 50 years, when it's just it's what the culture is. It's people grow up in Toronto wanting to skate for the Maple Leafs and all over Ontario with the fan base, with the amount of people who love playing hockey there. It's amazing. And it's just an indictment of what bad management can do to you. We see it in every sport. We saw it with the burgundy and gold under previous ownership here. It's amazing what bad ownership can do. I don't think it's necessarily a north-south thing. I just think you've got smarter, sharper people working in the front offices and coaching staffs in Florida and in Tampa Bay.
So, I want to add another thing on this also. We know it's coming. Gary Bettman's already said it's coming. We don't know when. We know it could happen in the next 5 years. We're like a 98% lock in that we're going to see another franchise in the state of Georgia and Atlanta. We know that the investor Kraus has forked over $2.5 billion of his own money to build the arena in Cumming, Georgia. We know Houston has a 90% chance of locking in a franchise in the coming future. What does this say about the NHL as a whole? I know we don't see contracts like we see in football and basketball, and especially not in baseball. But what does this say as far as like the popularity of hockey? Because I'm a diehard hockey guy. My team was the Atlanta Thrashers. We know what happened to them. My team actually, which originally was the Atlanta Knights. We know what happened to them. They're gone. The Atlanta Flames. They're the Calgary Flames. But what does this say for the popularity of the sport? Obviously, something big has got to be coming soon, right?
Well, I just think it's as more and more people move all over the place. I think back in 1965, if you looked at the people who lived in Houston, the people who lived in Atlanta, they largely grew up in and around the South. You don't have these national companies where people get transferred here, there, and everywhere. There was the joke with the Los Angeles Kings, former Redskins owner Jack Kent Cooke owned the LA Kings when they were an expansion franchise. And he's like, gosh, there's 9 million people, or whatever the number was. I think it was, there's 9 million or 6 million former Canadians who live in Los Angeles, and they all hate hockey. So, and then, but you saw in the 70s where the league expanded too quickly. You saw the team in San Francisco in the Bay Area fail. The Cleveland Barons failed because of bad, business sense and management. Atlanta couldn't survive down there. I broke my heart when the Hartford Whalers moved to Carolina because I thought it was a good spot to have a franchise. I still love the Quebec Nordiques. Those uniforms are so fresh. I wish Quebec got a team. I wish, maybe Saskatchewan would get a team, because those markets, even though they might not be as large as Atlanta and Houston, those markets are what we call in the business P1s. They hockey is their favorite sport. It's their second favorite sport. It might be their third and fourth favorite sport as well. And they are really into it. Whereas in Atlanta and Houston, you've got a lot of other things. They're not going to go to hockey first. Although those cities, Atlanta and Houston, growing, there's definitely reason for a small piece of the sports pie to be invested and to be into buying season tickets for 40 games, or you buy a partial or something like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if the league if the NHL, they've got 32 teams now. I wouldn't be surprised to see 36. And
I'm so glad you said that, because the magic. We know the magic number is going to increase for every sport. We know it's coming. We absolutely do. Here's a good question from our good friend John at Pitch Grid Podcast. What do you think of the chances are that Quebec gets another franchise?
I hope they get one. I'd love to see them get one. Until it happens, it's one of those things that until they start breaking ground, I'm not gonna believe it, because they should have a franchise, because they friggin' love hockey up there. I know that there's certain numbers and things here, there, and everywhere, and there's business reasons why. It's a shame that they haven't done that, because it's Quebec. They'd have a great pairing, a great rivalry with Montreal. The Quebec Nordiques back in the early 80s with the Stastny brothers was so much. They were so much fun to watch. They were like Eric Coryell, but on skates. So I guess the great show on turf, but on skates, as we try to update it for this millennium, or Patrick Mahomes and that offense put on skates. I'd love to see them get a franchise. I think I wrote a piece for WTOP.com a few years ago looking at, just what was going to happen in the NFL. And I think I'm surprised they haven't expanded in 20 years. This has been the longest era of non-expansion in the NFL forever, I believe, because previously it was 1976 to 94. And so I think the last expansion was like 02, 03. It's been over 20 years. I wouldn't be surprised to see the NFL go to 40, where you've got two teams in Europe that wind up playing in the respective East divisions. And, hey, we get 9:30 a.m. kickoffs. I can't wait for that.
It's funny you said there is a saying here in the South, is you can talk until the cows come home, but until the cows don't come home, it's just talk. So it's very real. All right, so I want to switch up because you just mentioned football. We know the Commanders, congratulations to them, by the way, they're being awarded a $4.6 billion facility that's going to be built on the old RFK site. And then, we also are seeing signs everywhere that, Washington is not done with, adding potential investors for them. And obviously, we have Dan Quinn there. And, Matt and I are very well versed in Dan Quinn. We are diehard Atlanta Falcons fans. We don't want to hear the 28-3 stuff. We know March 28th is the worst day in Atlanta because of the 328 stuff. Yeah. So, but, what is the vibe around town? Obviously, Jaden Daniels is an absolute, unbelievably gifted and talented athlete. We're going to see great things from him. The sophomore slump is very real. You know that. We all know it's very real. But could we see, and I know that Washington also just got awarded the 2027 NFL draft, and they're saying over 1 million people expected at that time. Could we actually see another Super Bowl possibly in the coming years for Washington? Which, by the way, we also had Gerald Riggs, who won Super Bowl 26 with the Redskins, on our show recently, and he believes it can happen. But what do you think? Do you think we could be seeing a Super Bowl coming soon to Washington?
I wouldn't be surprised if they put up this dome stadium. It would be the only dome stadium on the East Coast. When you think of NFL stadiums, Foxborough's open air, Giants, Jets open air, Bills open air, Steelers, Eagles, all open air. This would be and they wouldn't just do the Super Bowl once like they do up in Minnesota or Detroit. They get their one game out of the way with the new building. I think they'd potentially be in the rotation, maybe get one or two a decade potentially. You've got the infrastructure, you've got the metro. It'd be, again, like Quebec getting a hockey team until dirt is shoveled. Last year when everyone thought, the Wizards and Caps are going to move to Alexandria. No, until the dirt's shoveled, I'm still holding my breath a little bit. There are a lot of things that ownership has to go through. Mayor Muriel Bowser has to deal with the council and this, that, and the other thing. A lot of horses have to be traded. On some level, you hope that the addition of the stadium adds a lot of revenue sources for the city and for the people who live in the city. Lots of job opportunities. I hope that if they could horse trade away to get a grocery store to the Anacostia area, because there's a food desert, and then where it's just it's a different world over there, and a grocery store that doesn't that is able to serve that community. If whoever that ward councilman says, "Hey, I need that," and you'll get my vote, that would be awesome. I think if they do build a stadium that's domed, they should get a Super Bowl within the next 5 years. I'm glad that when they get the NFL draft in 2 years, they won't disrupt as many bachelorette parties as they did when they were in Nashville. So if you're out there and you're planning a bachelorette party for Washington, D.C., I don't know why. Don't do it for draft week 2027. But it's amazing what new ownership, what a new front office, what a new coach and a new quarterback can do to turn the fortunes of a team. Because just a few years ago, they were persona non grata. They were not getting a stadium. Dan Snyder wanted to get a new stadium, and somewhere nobody was going to build him a new stadium. No one was going to do anything for him. And it's amazing how when you have the right people in place, how quickly things can change. I didn't think they'd change this quickly. I thought they'd suffer some lumps for a couple of years under Dan Quinn. I didn't think Jaden Daniels would be as good as he was. I knew he would be an upgrade over the 30 quarterbacks they'd had over the last 25 years, but I didn't think that he would be as mature as he was last year in that role. And I did not think that they would have a lot needs to be said about Adam Peters putting together the right roster around him as well. There were a lot of guys who got flushed out, last offseason. Guys that you didn't think, oh, what, really? Okay. But they made the right moves. They rebuilt a core roster around some young, talented players, and they'll look to do so again this year. And I'm excited to see what sort of leaps they'll make in year two, because you mentioned, year two sophomore slump. That's something that always happens. But I think that this team might be better versed to handle a potential sophomore slump. They might not win as many games as they did last year, but they might be a better team just because their record doesn't show, because they've played tougher foes and they've had a different schedule.
Let's switch it up to baseball. Obviously, what's going on in Atlanta. Atlanta started the season 0-7. They became actually the fastest team in MLB history to get back to 500 after starting 0-7, and they're also the sixth team in MLB history to get back to 500 after starting 0-7. The last team that did it was was in 2004 with the Detroit Tigers when they went 40-40. We know the kind of rivalry that is really being developed right now. As you know, we're watching the game also with Washington and Atlanta right now. What do you think is going to possibly transpire for the NL East? I mean, can Atlanta continue to make history? Could they be the first team to go 0-7 to make the playoffs? Could they be the first 0-7 team to win their division, win the NL pennant, heck, even win the World Series? Or do we see the Mets get rid of that stigma, which they've already started their collapse, but could they get rid of that stigma as the epic collapse Mets? What do you think is going to transpire with the NL East?
I think it's between the Mets and Philly. I mean, Atlanta can certainly contend. The season is still young. We're not even at the 50 game mark. Nats went 19-31, Brandon, and still won the World Series back in 2019. But just looking at the way that the teams are built, I think it's going to come to. I think Juan Soto eventually gets hot. He's notoriously not played well in March and April. If you look at his splits, his numbers over the years, I think he finds his stroke. I think the Met. It's going to come down to the Mets and the Phillies for the division, but I definitely think that Atlanta can make the playoffs. I don't know. I haven't looked at the standings to see, would they be that last wild card team? I can definitely see them making the wild card, and I can definitely see them, advancing at least a round or two. And once you get into the postseason, a lot depends on, how your starting rotation is set up. I've seen, was it an 82-win Mets team make it to the World Series back in 1973. I didn't see it, but I read about it. I've seen an 85-win Twins team beat a 99-win Tigers team in the 87 playoffs and go on and win the World Series. And then I think they beat a 100-plus win Cardinals team. And then I've also seen an Orioles team win 101 games and not win a postseason game, when they had everything set up and lose 2 games at home. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Atlanta make the postseason and at least win a round. I think for the Nationals, I had higher hopes than 21-27 at this point. I thought, I looking at where they were, I thought that they would be able to make the leap, not necessarily score a playoff spot this year, but at least be a contender. And they had a very difficult April schedule. If you looked at who they played, they took on the Phillies, the Diamondbacks, the Dodgers, the last 3 National League champions. They took on the Mets, who had in theory, the best roster. They also played the Orioles in April. And at the time, we didn't know that the Orioles would be the dumpster fire that they are. They also had a 10-game road trip, too. And even though they played Pittsburgh and Colorado, and it wasn't, in Kansas City, I think it wasn't the toughest of foes, to go on a 10-game roadie that early in the season when you don't have your bullpen roles defined, when you've got guys who are still finding their feet, finding their batting stroke as they're, making the move from, okay, I can hit spring training, pitches. Now I've got to, go up against real, go up against pitchers who are game planning for me and just not trying to, find their groove. I'm going up against guys who are, seriously trying to get me out. There was a chance for that road trip to be an absolute disaster. It wasn't. And 6 games under 500, I thought that they'd be a little bit better, but there's still plenty of time for the Nats to make a run. It just, when you look at what they've got offensively, that seems the whole is less than the sum of its parts. I'm kind of disappointed, where they are at 21 and 27. There's still time to make a bit of a run. I can still see them with Davey Martinez making a little bit of a surge, as I think it feels like in June, whether it was 2019 or 2021 or 22, he's usually been able to, get on a heater with this club. But I'm looking forward to this series between the Nats and Braves.
Yeah, and like everybody says, any given Sunday, any given time. Shane has a question for you. Shane, go ahead.
Oh yeah, well, as big Braves fans, we look into their prospects and all a lot good, and we've seen Drake Baldwin be that guy for the Braves. Who is that next kind of Nationals prospect that you guys are looking to get up into the big leagues? Because I think you guys got some pretty decent prospects sitting down there just biting to get up into the league.
Keep your eye on third baseman Brady House. He is at AAA Rochester right now. He's one of those prime prospects, first-round picks. He's a guy that and third base has been a problem for the Nats since Anthony Rendon took that big bag of money and went to the Los Angeles Angels. They had, at one point, I think they had 40 – or no, at one point I think the Nats had, 30 different third basemen start for them over a 5-year stretch, which was the second most in the majors behind the Los Angeles Angels because what's his name hasn't been healthy at all. I think Brady House is the guy, and I don't know when – because they've been able to kind of cobble together a group of guys who can be, replacement level, in the lineup and in the field. But I wouldn't be surprised to see after the All-Star break or if there's a long homestand where they can get this kid's feet wet and give him, a soft cushion. Because you hate to see them bring somebody in when it's, you're in this rough patch and, you come up and you're not able to handle the major league pitching. Mike Rizzo, the general manager, when he's gone on record, he says, when we bring a guy up, we want it to be for good. Not like Jackson Holiday, who had to go down, last season after a rough start. So when they bring somebody up, no matter, they want him to be up for good because they hate bringing a guy up and then he goes back down and then his confidence is shattered and then they're trying to make things up. So Brady House is the guy to keep your eye on. Pitching, they don't have a ton of arms that I'm excited about at the minor league level. They've got a few outfielders who are okay, but it's amazing how well stacked they are at the outfield position. They got 4 guys. I wouldn't be surprised to see them if they wind up not contending and they're really sub 500 near the trading deadline. If they try to spin maybe an Alex Call or one of their non James Woods / Dylan Cruz guys somewhere else. Jake Young is a guy who's a good defensive outfielder, Gold Glove candidate last year. I could see them spinning one of those guys somewhere else to get some prospects or get some pitching back because you need arms. Their bullpen's been a hot mess this season.
Yeah, we know that all too well in Atlanta with the hot mess with the arms and the bullpen. So I want to close out with you on this because I know you've taken time out of your schedule to come and we really do appreciate that. You mentioned the Baltimore Orioles being an absolute dumpster fire. My gosh, I am utterly shocked at what I am seeing with Baltimore. They were touted as one of the youngest teams that was going to come out and they were going to challenge the Yankees. They're going to challenge the Red Sox. Heck, they were going to even challenge the Tampa Bay Rays. This was going to be supposed to be their year, especially after the significant jump we saw in the last year and the year before that even. What can you attribute to what is going on in Baltimore? I mean, I made this joke recently they're like Oprah with runs. You get a run, you get a run, everybody gets a run. I mean, they're getting blown out left and right. Like, what is going on with Baltimore?
That's it right there. Pitching. You can't. You have to. You don't need to have the best pitching staff in the world, but you need to have. It needs to be competent. You can't have dude like Charlie Morton. That was every fifth day you had a cheap cigar getting blown up. With lighter fluid and gasoline. It was rough. It was painful to watch. And and Dean Kramer has had some issues here and there. I think one year he got off to a rough start, but was able to bounce back. And he didn't pitch horribly in his most recent outing, but it's one of those things that when their starters falter, you're done. But when their starters do pitch well, it's some guy in the bullpen who comes up short. And I think Brandon Hyde didn't have things going over the last year. They kind of slid last. Even though they finished with 91 wins, you didn't feel nearly as good as you did the year before when they won 101 and won the division. They felt a lot worse than 10 games worse than their division title team. And this year, the guys who should be producing offensively really aren't. A lot of the guys they brought in, Tyler O'Neill, he's been hurt. He's great on opening day. If you look his numbers for opening day, unfortunately, they play 161 more, and he's got to stay healthy for that. And you look at the injuries he's had. I put this. There's a lot of this goes on Brandon Hyde because he's made maybe some wrong moves, or he hasn't gotten the necessary fire, or maybe he's got the lineup, wrong. Just he needed to tweak it a little bit better. But this goes on the front office because they did not give him a major league level bullpen, major league starting rotation, and just I know you can't sign all the high priced free agents, but it was a real disservice to this franchise. And you look at this team, this young nucleus that I think everybody fell in love with and got excited about 2 years ago. I remember telling my friends, it's like, gosh, this is like 1989 for an O's fan when they were bad and then all of a sudden they're good. And it's, and kids were getting into this team for the first time and they were their Orioles. And this is 10 to 15-year-old kids are all of a sudden falling in love with this team that is not awful. And you've got this great young nucleus, so much talent. And this year you've effectively burned a year of team control. So you've got one last year where you've got all these guys before you have to pay them. And if what they've done recently is any indication, they're not going to be able to pay, all of these guys. And you hope that they're able to pay some of them. So it's a bummer because Baltimore, when they're playing well, it's a great baseball city. It's a great stadium. And it stinks that, they have to burn that. Basically they're going to burn a year. And who knows who's their new manager. You hate to see, an interim guy, and you don't know if he's the long-term solution. The nightmare for for the Orioles for years is they'd fire a manager mid-season. The interim guy would do just well enough to earn a long-term deal. And then it was the classic dead cat pounce where, you fire the manager, boom, the team does well for a game or two, or the team, they haven't done well for a game or two. They've lost straight with the new guy. So you hope that they're able to get the right manager in, and he is in sync with the general manager, and they're able to do stuff right, because nothing sucks more than squandered talent. And that's what it looks like we've got there right now, where you've got some quality pieces who are still rather young, and you have no pitching to back them up whatsoever.
You're right. Hit the nail on the head. And my brother-in-law can attest to that. Zane is a lifelong season ticket holder for the Baltimore Orioles, and he even has sold some of his tickets. Well, guys, his name is Dave Preston of WTOP. Dave, can you tell people where they can find you, sir?
103.5 FM and WTOP.com. So I write regularly, pieces, everything from Virginia Gold Cup to the James Bond series. I do a podcast as well called James Bond Ranked, and there's a colon or somewhere in there that, and also I'm on Twitter or X at DAV Presto, and I post, if I'm at a game, I'll post, today I posted pictures of Congressional, and boy, it was sunny Hello. I look like
Hey,
I
I
shoved
got
my
the
head in.
raccoon eyes.
I look
and
like
they-
Roger Moore when he shot A View to a Kill and they shoved his head in a bag of Cheetos to make it. And on X, I also I have this thing #Bond birthday. So whenever it's somebody's like today was the dude who got blown up in License to Kill, Anthony Zerbe. He's still alive at like 90. I highlight each of these actors or actresses. It could be Sean Connery. It could be stuntman number 4. It could be that henchman who doesn't even have a name tag. And what's his point? So we write a lot about college football, college basketball. I cover Maryland. I'll be at the athletic director's presser this Thursday, along with checking out the Maryland men's lacrosse team as they make their way to the Final Four. So do a lot of content online and on the web as well. So thanks for having me, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. We will obviously stay in touch with you. You have yourself a wonderful evening, and we'll talk again soon. Sound good, sir?
Yes, I think I'm going to need some cold cream or something. Ice cream, milk, something like that. Oh, God.
Dave, you take care of yourself and have a wonderful evening.
Pleasure, gentlemen. Thanks again for having me on. I'll see you guys courtside.
Yes,
We'll
sir.
see you.
Guys, that was an excellent interview to have him on, but I want to quickly tag on to this. Obviously, Shane, we know what's going on with Atlanta. They're down 4-3 right now. Spencer Strider, a little dicey coming off of an injury, but we know the Braves are the cardiac kids, and they are the cardiac kids for a reason. So, all right, guys, Matt, I'm going to start with you on this one. I know you have seen this. I know you have heard it. And if you haven't, you've been living under a rock. Ryan Clark, RG3. RG3 said Angel Reese has so much hatred in her heart for Caitlin Clark. And then it started a back and forth banter between Ryan Clark and RG3. What do you think about this whole thing going on?
I think it's a little overblown. They was out there balling. They're playing. Yeah, they had a little, dust up, but it wasn't nothing personal. Angel Reese pushed one of Caitlin Clark's email teammates in the back.
She pushed Aaliyah Boston, yep.
Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't intentional. She was fighting.
So but you know this, Matt, and because you played basketball for a long time, that was a legit basketball move, right? Because you had an opportunity for her to get a wide open shot. Yes, it's Angel Reese, we know, wide open opportunity. Okay, would you rather her get a wide open opportunity or have to think about, do I gotta take these 2 free throws? What would you have rather gone with?
Well, I mean, I don't think Caitlin didn't care who it was. Caitlin just know that she fouled her and she fouled it back to stop the play. But of course you would rather live with her shooting the free throws. Don't give up easy baskets. That's the number one rule of playoff basketball. Yeah, no easy baskets. So I mean, it was a good foul. I think it was a little over excessive with the call, but it was a good hard foul, man. It wasn't even that hard. To be honest with you, it was just a good foul. But the ref should have called it when pushing it back. They didn't call it, so Caitlin pushed whoever had the ball, which happened to be Angel Reese.
So, there is a lot of wannabes out there, a lot of naysayers who sit there and say Angel Reese and this about race. It's race. It's the race card. That's all they get below. No. So I replied to a post, and I said, if Angel Reese wants to change the game, she wants to change it the right way, then she has to do it without the product has to match on the court the way it matches off the court. She had that infamous press conference a year ago where she sat there and said, I'm the best basketball player there ever was, blah, 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 yada, yada. So then a reporter goes, you came off and said this last year. She quickly pushed away, next question. I apologize. But you've got to understand, you don't want to be automatically seen as the villain. Yeah, it's okay to be confident. And I'm okay with confidence. You want to be both a leader on and off the court. And I think Angel Reese is going about it the wrong way. And another thing I also mentioned in there, yeah, you can pad your stats all you want. Yeah, you may have X amount of or 461 rebounds. But let's be honest, guys. You take 7 shots and you rebound 5 of them, you absolutely are padding your stats on the rebound level. And correct me if I'm wrong, Shane. Kaylin Clark is not bad for the game. She's actually really good for the game because of what she represents. Do you agree, though, that Angel Reese needs to kind of tone it down a little bit and start working on bettering herself and bettering the game versus blah, 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 and pay me more?
Well, I think that the WNBA as a whole, this opening weekend was, ratings were through the roof. It was great to see. And it was we had a couple of pretty good basketball games on. I think that the banter between Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, I mean, it goes back from their college days. So it's something that we've seen in the past. They're true competitors at a sport, and they're held to a high standard because they are, some of the most coveted athletes in their professional sport. I hate that we're dealing with this and not looking into the reality of how good we're going to see Caitlin Clark in the WNBA. She's had 50 games and is already tied for 3rd in triple doubles in WNBA history.
Absolutely insane.
She's got just as many 2010 games as Diana Taurasi already in the WNBA for 2nd, I believe. So it's we're witnessing a great time for the WNBA, having players like this that bring it to a national level that they can actually showcase what the talent they have and show some of the competitiveness that they have, be it overreaction versus underreaction. I mean, it's I don't like to get too much into that because we're actually watching a good product that the WNBA has put out on the court.
Absolutely. Matt, I got to start. I'm going to switch it up with you on here. The Thunder, absolutely. Your terms, by the way, mollywopped the Denver Nuggets. I mean, throttled them. And, I'm not surprised, but what I am surprised, though, is all the top seeds, they struggled. Right now, the top seeds are 1 and 2, respectively, in the NBA playoffs. But I want to ask you this about the Final Four of the NBA. Who do you see? And I'm going to ask you the same question for you on this as well, Hank. On Shane, because Hank just joined us. But I'm going to ask you this as well, Hank. I know you hear me. So, who do you see winning in the Final Four and even making it to the NBA Finals? Matt, I'm going to start with you. Who do you realistically see being the winners, and what do you even see the record like? It's a best of 7. Give me the record for both, and then who you think wins the finals.
I'm going to probably give it to. The West is a little bit more difficult because whoever comes out the West is going to win the whole thing, in my opinion.
Okay.
I got to give the edge to Minnesota only because of experience. You've got the mind and brain of Mike Conley. You've got the defensive experience of Rudy Gobert. You've got tremendous amount of athleticism on the court. You've got a pretty good full package as far as for what is required to be in the NBA Finals at this point in the Final Four. Now, as far as the East goes,
this is where it's a tough one right here.
Right, but see, the Knicks, neither one of these teams I expected to get past the second round. Or even
that is the sentiment around a lot of people that has said the exact same thing. It is the Knicks. Matt knows the last time they were there. Matt and I were in high school. You were in high school as well, Hank. 2000 was the last time we saw the Knickerbockers in a conference finals.
Right.
So, and then of course then you had the Pacers. Last time there goes Reggie Miller time.
But what do you think? But who's got more experience though? You think about it. Halliburton is quasi new to the league, but at the same time, he's got like Miles Turner and a handful of others like that. So I could give the experience to the Indiana Pacers. I reserve the right to change my mind in this case, but I don't. I see the Pacers getting past the Knicks because the Knicks to me didn't show very many signs of life of even going to the NBA finals, much less getting to the conference finals. So,
All right, so you have it as the Wolves and the Pacers. So who wins the NBA finals?
talk to me after the conference finals.
All right. Yeah. All right, so let's go to you, Matt. I want you to tell me who wins the Final Four for the NBA, and then who do you have winning the NBA championship?
First off, I just want to say that we're going to look at a player totally different. Whoever wins this championship, a player is going to get looked at totally different. Be it Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton, Jalen Brunson, Anthony. I started as Anthony Edwards, but Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. Somebody's going to be looked at totally different. Somebody's going to be in the upper echelon of the league. Just wanted to point that out there.
I mean, somebody's about to get paid, right?
Somebody's about to be like a face, like one of the faces of the league. Right now in the Western Conference, I look at it like one man versus an army. When you
Who's that one man?
When you look at Anthony Edwards, and if he doesn't go, then the Timberwolves will struggle. But the thing about the Thunder is if Shea has his bad game, he has others that'll come and step in and take a little bit off of the scoring load, whether it be Chet Holmgren, whether it be Jalen Williams, whether it be even I've seen Lou Dort explode a couple of times. They even have shooters and people off the bench. They just have too much. But I just have a feeling that Anthony Edwards is going to kind of just like put the Timberwolves on his back and just like
pull a Reggie Miller
Superman.
kind of thing.
Yeah, man. If you look at all his games versus the Thunder, man, he has his way. He has his way versus these guys every time, and I don't think they don't have anybody that can really stop him. Lou Dort's too little. So we'll see. But I'm gonna go with the Timberwolves on that. I think the Timberwolves win the 7. As far as the Knicks and the Pacers go, man, I got to give credit to the Knicks for getting to where they're at. But the Pacers are a very well constructed team and very well coached. Very well. It was.
This is the second time in a row they've gone, though, correct?
Yeah. They were there last year versus I forgot who was there last year.
Celtics.
The Celtics, yeah.
Yes.
They got the Celtics last year, man, which is crazy, man. I'm drawing a blank. Their coach. I'm drawing a blank.
Thibodeau.
No, the Pacers.
Carlisle.
Oh my God.
Carlisle.
Yeah, Rick Carlisle. Yeah,
Rick Carlisle. People forget that's the coach that won the championship with the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, very underrated coach. Very underrated coach. Very great coach. Great at drawing schemes out of timeouts. Great at making adjustments. That's the big thing. He's great at making adjustments. The Knicks, they played a little too lackadaisical for me, man. They barely got by, man. They barely got by these rounds. Even when they played in the first round against the sorry guys,
Cavaliers.
Cavaliers, yeah.
No, second round. I'm sorry.
No, second round was the Cavs, wasn't it?
Yeah. No. Who the Knicks played in the first round?
Oh my gosh.
Orlando Magic, wasn't it? Was it the Orlando Magic?
No.
For those who are watching in the stream, let us know because we're drawing blanks just for old people. We're drawing blanks.
Yeah. But the Knicks have played down to the level of competition. So we'll see what happens. But I'm gonna go with the Knicks versus the Timberwolves in the finals, and I think the Timberwolves is gonna pull it out in 6.
Ooh, I like that. I absolutely like that. And look, Minnesota has had a lot of opportunities. I mean, gosh, do you guys? I don't know. I mean, Shane might not remember this as he's so young, but Kevin Garnett. I mean, he at one time he was the highest paid player in all of the NBA, and he played for the Timberwolves. So, Shane, I'm gonna ask you this same question: who wins for the East? Who wins for the West? And who wins the whole thing?
Oh yeah, well we'll start in the West. Since we've gone down that path already, this is going to be it's Ant-Man versus SGA. You can write it up as a comic book series in these games.
Pacers played the Milwaukee Bucks in the first round.
Yeah. No, who did the Knicks play? The Knicks played the Cavs, and then the.
But I think it's going to be, only 2 years ago we saw both of these teams playing for an 8 seed for the play-in tournament. I believe that was the first year of it that we had the seeding like that. But it's going to be an electric matchup. I think that the Thunder are a better constructed team around what they have. I know they really haven't shown it, but the past couple, series that they've played in, they've had to put it together in time, and I still think that they're the best team
Pistons.
all together. But I see the Thunder in 6 in this one.
Okay, so what about the East?
The East, man, this one's a toss up. The way the Knicks have played the last couple series with that grit, determination, I look at it this way. The Pacers are a better put together team overall. The Knicks have the better players. In saying that, how's Indy going to deal with the crowd at MSG being the first time back, for an Eastern Conference game, in so long. So, and I think, the first 2 games are going to be key in that sense. So if Indy can steal one, I think they might do it in 6, but I see them in 7.
Okay. So who wins the whole? And your eyes now, you've got it labeled. Who wins the whole thing?
The whole thing, who wins it?
Yes.
I see it's Thunder in 7.
It's too early to tell. It really is.
Yeah,
It is. But it's. I mean, you both, all three of you, hit the nail on the head. You've hit the right points that the Timberwolves, they do have one man that can carry a franchise, but then also the Knicks have an abundance of talent. You also have the Pacers.
Yeah.
So I mean, it really is it really is any game basically.
The only thing I agree with pretty much most of what Matt said. The only thing I will disagree about is that he said that, whoever comes out of this game will have a superstar. I disagree with that. I don't see Tyrese Halliburton, if he was to win the finals, that he would become like a face of an NBA, because there's already this preconceived notion about Anthony Edwards becoming the next superstar. And I think that he would solidify it if he won it, but Tyrese Halliburton would have to do a little bit more to make himself box office.
Okay, I can see that. And Matt, I posed that question to you earlier today, and I'm going to ask Hank, I'm going to ask Shane, and I'm going to ask everybody watching the show right now. Who is a better dunker? Ja Morant, Anthony Edwards. Shane, I want to hear your thoughts. Who is the better dunker, Ja Morant or Anthony Edwards?
Anthony Edwards has a decent size advantage over Ja Morant. As far as electrifying dunks, Ja Morant gets it. As far as repertoire and able to do the amount of dunks and the type of dunks that Ant-Man can do, I see that's more than Ja. But Ja's more electric when he goes to the hoop. And Ant-Man, he's more of a player can throw down when it actually means something. That's the way I kind of look at him.
All right, Hank, what about you? Who's better? Now, I know you've seen Ja Morant play, but who's better at a dunker, Ja Morant or Anthony Edwards?
And I've seen Anthony Edwards as well. The thing about it is that I think that the better dunker is definitely Ja Morant, but the problem is that every time he dunks the ball nowadays, and if he gets fouled and gets smacked out the air like a fly, I'm afraid he's going to get hurt. So Ja Morant is definitely the more box office dunker, but at the same time, Anthony Edwards can dunk it and be more effective as far as, productivity is going, because that you're not going to really fear him getting swatted out the air, and then somebody's going to, then you're going to lose your superstar for a couple of days.
And John just said he's a hospital dunk. All right, so let's switch it up, guys. And for those who are watching the show right now, comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this one. But I'm going to start with Shane on this one. He's a baseball guy, just like I am. We're all sports fanatics. That's what I call them, sports nuts.
You forgot to ask Matt who he thought was the better dunker.
Matt told me. He told me Anthony Edwards, actually. I posed that question to him earlier. He replied to the text, actually. But, Matt, I want to hear your thoughts. Why is Anthony Edwards a better dunker than Ja Morant?
Thank you, Hank, my good man.
You know
Nah,
what it is?
man.
It's my old age, my senile self. That's what it is.
Man, Anthony Edwards comes with power. He comes with power, man, and electricity. And obviously, Anthony Edwards dunked viciously on people,
Yes.
Um,
Angry dunks.
Granted, John Morant's great dunker himself, but little, and he's he's on the ground. But John Morant's a great dunker. Don't get me wrong, he's a great dunker, superb athlete. I just think Anthony Edwards has a lot more body control and able to, uh, uh, turn it on and off as far as the power goes. I mean, people forget last year versus the Suns. This man had some crazy dunks, man, to close them out on that closeout game. Like some crazy dunks. I think he jumped over the center. Well, was it Nurkic at the top? He dunked on the center and just it was over. The series is over. The series is done off of that one play. It was the third quarter. Anthony Edwards' ability to just change the whole game with his dunk. I have to give that to him. His dunks are a lot more impactful. It's the same thing as like people say Vince Carter and Michael Jordan. Who's the better dunker? They both can get up. They both can get high. But Vince Carter's in-game dunks were just ridiculous.
They were insane.
Yeah, man. It was ridiculous. So you got to take that into account when you want to measure the bar for a dunker impact. I look at impact and power as well.
All right, so everybody, let us know what you think in the stream. We appreciate your comments. Matt, and Shane, I'm gonna start with this right quick. We're coming up on time. So Colorado's bad. They're absolutely they're worse than bad. We saw last year's team, the Chicago White Sox, be one of the absolute worst teams, but then we didn't think it could get any worse. But boy, are we ever wrong? Colorado's on pace to lose 134 games, which is absolutely worse than the Chicago White Sox. Shane, is Colorado just that bad, or are they like just waiting to try and get better prospects in the whole grand scheme of things?
The only thing that they have to look forward to is what the Chicago White Sox records were during June, July, and August of last year, because I don't think that they even won a game in July last year. If they did, they won one, and I think 3 in August, and they had 18, 19, 20 losses in that same sense. So that's the one good thing that they could look forward to maybe avoid this. But they had a historic the past 3 months. I mean, they are at a I'm not sure if they played last night or not, but when I was looking up, they're at a minus 144 run differential.
It's the absolute worst ever in Major League Baseball history.
Yes, I mean, and not only that, it's they could possibly go under 200. They could be under the Mendoza line come for the year on away games. It's not pretty, and whoever they get in there, they're going to have to do some soul searching on this team.
And, so I got one for you too. Also,
figure which direction they're really going to go in, because the path that they're going down now, it's a long, bumpy, windy road, and it's not going to be pleasant.
I got one for you as well, because their leading ERA specialist is their catcher with a 4.51 ERA.
Oh yeah, and
that's a very disturbing stat, by the way. That you're
well, that's because
catcher.
They're having to put them out there to close out games because they don't want to waste their arms because they're down 27 runs.
Yes, that is very true. Absolutely true on that one. Obviously, we could talk forever and a day about how bad the Colorado Rockies are, but I'm not gonna spare them that heartache and whatnot. But obviously, hey guys, I want to give a quick shout out. Obviously, University of Hawaii baseball, the baseball team. Shane, you know this. We talked about this. You had to win this series to get into the Big West Conference play. I mean, the tournament basically, right? Well, they won 2 out of 3. They won the final game of the regular season. They advanced to the Big West tournament. They are playing Santa Barbara. Shout out to the University of Hawaii. Congratulations on them as well. But then also, I want to do this real quick with you, Matt, Shane, and Hank. We saw some major upsets actually in the Women's College World Series this weekend. Southeastern Louisiana, they upset and knocked out nationally ranked LSU. Then we saw Liberty University upset the #1 overall seed Texas A&M and ended their season. Clemson advanced to the Super Regionals. Let me ask you this, and I'm going to start with you, Hank. Does Oklahoma and Texas have to worry about Cinderellas?
I don't know. I've only got so many hours in the day. I haven't watched nothing. No, I will decline to answer that because I do not. I have no idea what the heck you're talking about.
Let's go with you, Matt. Does Texas and Oklahoma have to worry about the small little teams? Because, I mean, obviously, we know what Oklahoma did last year, won almost 60 straight games. So, what do you think?
I don't think so, man. I think they're just too well coached, and their core is just pretty much been dominating. I think they'll be fine. I don't think they have to worry about any of the teams. Although, teams can slip up. Teams slip up every once in a while. It happens. But for the most part, man, I think both of those teams will be okay.
And now let's not forget, Shane. Remember, it happens on a lot of leagues. We know this with UMBC upsetting the #1 seed in the NCAA tournament. Up until this year, no #1 seed has ever been knocked out so early in the tournament, right? Well, they lost, and it happened. #1 went down. What do you think? Does Oklahoma and Texas, Shane, have to worry about other teams?
Oh yeah, well, Oklahoma's going to be okay. Bama could make it a close game with their pitching that we've seen here lately. Clemson, it depends on how their pitchers show up. They've got the talent from the offensive side to hang in with any team in the country. So that one I think is going to be very interesting, especially with it being, a 3-game series. So, and as you mentioned, Liberty's kind of like the Cinderella, if you want to look at it in tournament standards, March Madness, but here we are in May. Liberty is a good team. So don't put it past them to sneak in there. I think Carolina is playing UCLA. Their bats have to stay pretty hot to finish this one off. And I think the best series that we're going to see is maybe that FSU Texas Tech series.
Ooh, I'm so glad you said, because that girl, the pitcher for Texas Tech, she just got that $1 million NIL per year paid NIL deal.
Oh yeah,
transfer from Stanford to Texas Tech.
Nadri's the real deal.
Yep, absolutely. She's turning out to be the face of college softball. And tip our caps to them. It's gonna be a fun run. We will absolutely bring it to you all during this phenomenal into the collegiate athletic 2025 season. Look, fall's knocking around the corner. So, speaking of seasons ending, y'all, we have a fun-filled lineup actually coming to you from now until May the 30th. And what do I mean by that, Matt? The prodigal son returns this Friday. I'm talking about our good friend Abe Gordon. Yes, it's Abe Gordon 5.0 will be joining us this Friday to talk some much needed sports. And then, guys, we have a phenomenal guest who is about to join our show this next Tuesday. Matt has listened to him for a long time. I have listened to him a long time. Matt, would you please share with the world what amazing voice of an NBA franchise is going to be a guest on our show this next Tuesday?
Well, Stinger, I can't wait to tell you. We have the one and only, Bob Rathburn in here, man. He's going to be up here. For those who don't know who he is, he's if a Hawks game is on and you want to listen to it, you turn it on and you'll hear him and you hear Dominique Wilkins and you'll hear them commentating the game. You'll hear them giving an insight on the game. Bob's been doing this for a really long time.
Almost 40 years, by the way.
Yeah, from the time I even started, watching basketball, he was already ingrained in this. And the fact that he's coming on, man, is it's big. It's a pretty big deal, man. So
Yeah, definitely. That would
can't
be
wait.
like
Can't wait to talk to him.
that would be
Go ahead,
like
Hank.
that would be like if it was for me. If Pete Pranica were to come on, Pete Pranica and former NBA player Brevin Knight, they do the Grizzlies. So
I remember
We know that Brevin Knight really well. Absolutely.
y'all know who Brevin Knight is?
16th
Yeah,
pick in the draft to the
Yes.
out of Stanford to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Absolutely, sir.
Absolutely.
I'm impressed. A lot of people don't know that.
All right, guys. So then also Friday, May the 30th is our season 3 finale, which we will take a week off, come back live and in charge with you all. It's Friday, June the 6th. Season 4 kicks off. We will have a new intro. We will have bigger guests, and you get to see our lovely faces. It's just going to be an all-out fun. And this just in, guys, we're going to have 3 episodes a week. Yes, Matt and myself, and hopefully Shane and Hank will join. We will have a 3rd episode during the summer only. It is going to be between 45 minutes and an hour. It is boots on the ground, basically. What does that mean? We're talking, training camps, knocking on the door. Maybe we'll have Shane get the chance to give us an official report from the Carolina Panthers training facility. Matt and myself may try to go, and we'll try and see if we can get Hank to get out to either KC or the Tennessee Titans. Stay tuned for that one. So, guys, we have had a fantastic show. Yes, we are going to cut it a little short tonight because, yes, my daughter's softball team, they did lose, like I said, 17-6. Shout out to the Lady Patriots. Addison got the first of her career, really. And it's the first one. Actually, Cassie experienced it when her playing time. She got an unassisted triple play, but Addison officially got an unassisted triple play tonight. Shout out to her and the Lady Patriots. So for our good friend, Dave Preston of WTOP.com, the radio station based out of Washington, D.C. Matt, what do you say to these lovely people?
Yeah, guys, try to enjoy your weeks. Try to stay out of trouble. Don't get flagged in the game of life. If it don't sound right, it ain't right. Just go ahead and go the other way. Don't get flagged.
Absolutely. Hank, what do you tell these lovely people, sir?
Man, don't be like me and not watch college, women's softball. Even if you're a thirsty heathen, it's okay. As long as you're supporting those girls, then let's have some fun. So thank y'all.
Absolutely. And Shane, what do you tell these lovely people, sir?
Oh, yeah. As always, blessed the Benji guys is here for as long as we have. But as always, peace, love, and bacon grease.
Mm-hmm.
Peace, love, and bacon grease. And by the way, Shane did have a little bit of a middle finger showing there, sir.
I'm sorry. It was kind of like that.
I thought he was. Hey,
sorry. It was kind of like that.
Yeah. No, it's cool. I was hoping my face of me trying to get an okra seed out of my teeth was making distracting that. So.
Well, as I always tell you guys, peace out. A-Town down White. It's the greatest sports city there ever was. Hey, Atlanta, you're down 5-3. Come on and get that W, and let's get on a roll here. Guys, we will see you again this Friday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Be there because you're going to want to hear our good friend Abe Gordon of 92.9 The Game. Cannot wait to see him. Until then, you guys have a wonderful evening, and we'll talk to you again on Friday. Good night, and enjoy this lovely outro. Thank you. By Matt.